If it carries on like that, could he be the right man for the job?
Of course he can. I think on Manchester United board to put him in at the end of the season. I know they've been there with Ollie before.
When Michael Carrick took temporary charge of Manchester United in November 2021, the club was struggling. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had been dismissed after a poor run of form, leaving the squad disjointed and low on confidence. Carrick, a trusted member of Solskjaer's staff, stepped up as caretaker manager. His appointment seemed transitional, but what followed changed the tone of the club in ways that lasted far longer than his short time in charge. Carrick inherited a squad full of individual talent but lacking cohesion. The team's performances had become erratic, with defensive frailty, inconsistent pressing, and unclear instructions. Carrick's first goal was to restore calm and structure. His approach was straightforward: simplify the plan, focus on tactical discipline, and rebuild morale. Carrick's understanding of the game came from his years as a midfielder under Sir Alex Ferguson. As a player, he was known for control, composure, and intelligence rather than physical dominance. Those same traits were reflected in his coaching. He valued positioning, collective movement, and decision-making under pressure. Unlike more reactive managers, Carrick believed in guiding players to read the game rather than reacting emotionally. In training, he returned to fundamentals. He emphasized compactness, ball circulation, and intelligent pressing. He encouraged his midfielders to hold structure rather than chase the ball. He wanted every player to understand the purpose of their role within the system. His sessions focused on transitions, the moments immediately after losing or winning possession. The message was clear: control these moments, and the team controls the match. Carrick's demeanor influenced the mood of the squad. He did not raise his voice often, but his words carried weight. He treated senior players with respect while demanding responsibility. For younger players, he offered direct feedback, showing confidence in their abilities. Anthony Elanga, for example, later credited Carrick for giving him a chance and instilling belief at a time when the team needed new energy. His first match in charge came against Villarreal in the Champions League. United needed a result to secure qualification from the group. Carrick set his team up with discipline. The shape was compact, the players positioned carefully to limit Villarreal's passing lanes. United absorbed pressure efficiently and struck on the break. Goals from Cristiano Ronaldo and Jadon Sancho sealed a 2-0 victory. It was a performance built not on flair but on control, something the side had missed for months. The next test came against Chelsea, one of the strongest teams in Europe at the time. Carrick's plan again centered on organization. Instead of open attacking play, United stayed structured, breaking lines only when safe opportunities appeared. The result was a 1-1 draw earned through patience and resilience. United limited Chelsea's chances, an achievement considering the opponent's dominance that season. It marked visible improvement in defensive coordination and work rate. Carrick's short tenure consisted of only 3 matches, but the pattern was consistent. United looked composed, balanced, and collectively aware. The team pressed more intelligently, circulated possession with clarity, and showed renewed belief. The players themselves acknowledged the simplicity of Carrick's instructions and how they allowed them to play freely without confusion. Fred and Scott McTominay, often criticized before his appointment, performed with greater confidence and understanding of space. One of Carrick's most notable adjustments involved the midfield structure. Previously, United's double pivot had been stretched and reactive. Carrick asked his midfielders to hold central positions, delaying their press until the trigger moment arrived. This minor change tightened the defensive lines and reduced spaces for opponents to exploit. It also allowed attacking midfielders like Bruno Fernandes to operate higher up the pitch, closer to the forwards, resulting in quicker counterattacks and better support for transitions. Carrick's relationship with key players helped reinforce unity. With Ronaldo, he emphasized professionalism and trust, managing his minutes while maintaining respect. Sancho's confidence returned as he was deployed in roles that suited his strengths in transition and combination play. Even defenders found renewed stability. Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire looked more assured under Carrick's clearer defensive instructions. He also tightened the link between defense and midfield during build-up. Instead of forcing vertical passes through congested areas, he encouraged circulation to draw opponents out. United used fullbacks as outlets and patiently waited for openings. The goal was not possession for its own sake, but purposeful control, a hallmark of Carrick's understanding of tempo and rhythm. Beyond tactics, Carrick brought back professionalism that had started to fade. He set expectations in training and meetings that reflected Manchester United's standards of previous eras. Players were reminded that effort and focus in practice were non-negotiable. Short, direct discussions replaced drawn-out meetings. Each player was given clarity about their role. This reduction in noise allowed calm to return to the dressing room. Carrick avoided public drama. In press conferences, his tone stayed measured. He refused to take personal credit for results, consistently pointing praise toward the players and staff. This humility resonated in a club where media attention often fuels tension. His quiet style became a contrast to the emotional turbulence that had dominated before. Psychologically, Carrick's biggest contribution was restoring trust. Senior players began to believe in the plan again, while younger ones felt included and valued. The dressing room, previously divided, found common purpose. Results alone didn't define his impact. The improvement in morale and communication was visible even in training sessions. When Ralf Rangnick arrived as interim manager, he inherited a team more stable than the one Carrick had taken over. The handover was smooth because Carrick's changes had already built a foundation of discipline. He stepped away immediately after United's 3-2 win over Arsenal at Old Trafford, ending his brief spell with 2 wins and 1 draw. His departure was dignified, thanking players and staff without seeking personal recognition. It was consistent with his understated character, calm, professional, and selfless. Although Carrick only managed 3 official matches, his internal restructuring had lasting influence. The squad learned to value compactness, patient possession, and shared responsibility. The foundations he re-established benefited those who followed. Rangnick built upon his organizational work, and later, Erik ten Hag would find a squad more receptive to tactical instruction and disciplined work habits. Carrick's emphasis on collective structure aligned naturally with ten Hag's philosophy of control and positional play. Carrick's leadership also reinforced a broader shift in Manchester United's culture. The team began to transition away from relying solely on individual brilliance and toward collective execution. Players such as Fred, McTominay, and Sancho performed with new confidence because the system gave them clarity. Even when results fluctuated later, the idea that United could function cohesively again had been planted during Carrick's brief tenure. Outside tactical matters, Carrick paid attention to player development and mentorship. He created individual growth plans for certain younger players. He spoke regularly with academy graduates, explaining tactical expectations and encouraging them to seize opportunities. Several coaches at Carrington later described his communication as efficient and detail-focused. Minimal words, maximum clarity. Carrick's effect extended beyond the field. Staff noted the atmosphere improved, less anxiety, more professionalism. The short caretaker period felt stable, something the club had been missing. He left behind processes that Ten Hag's staff eventually refined, including clearer video analysis frameworks and feedback cycles. His later achievements at Middlesbrough further proved that his principles were transferable and effective. At Borough, he implemented possession-based football with quick transitions and intelligent pressing, echoing the foundation he had reintroduced at Manchester United. His success there reinforced that the qualities he displayed at Old Trafford, composure, intelligence, structure, were not situational but systematic. Carrick's influence on Manchester United also reshaped perceptions of leadership within the club. He demonstrated that authority doesn't have to be loud or theatrical. His calm method produced discipline without fear and allowed creativity within structure. For a squad that had previously struggled with identity, his direction provided stability at a crucial turning point. The long-term reflection on Carrick's time shows how vital short interventions can be. Though not a permanent manager, he altered the mindset of a high-pressure environment. The players rediscovered professionalism and unity. The staff regained trust in the process. Supporters witnessed a team that looked organized again after weeks of chaos. Even a short spell handled correctly can leave a permanent mark. Many of Carrick's on-field priorities anticipated later developments under Ten Hag. United's eventual balance between technical midfielders and structured defense resembled Carrick's approach. The recruitment of players like Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, and Lisandro Martinez followed similar logic. Intelligent, composed individuals comfortable within a structured system. The spirit of control and patience that Carrick reinstated became a through line of the post-Solskjaer evolution. In practical terms, Carrick's main adjustments can be summarized through 3 pillars: structure, mentality, and simplicity. Structurally, he re-established spacing across the defensive and middle thirds, creating a leaner unit with efficient distances. Mentally, he re-centered the group around composure and responsibility. Simply, he pruned complexity. Instead of multiple overlapping tactical messages, he emphasized a few key ideas understood by everyone. Carrick's preference for freedom within structure, a phrase used by several players afterward, encapsulated his style. He gave players shape but encouraged autonomy within it. This blend allowed attacking players like Sancho, Fernandes, and Ronaldo to express themselves while keeping the team balanced. It revealed an understanding that control and creativity are not opposites when organized correctly. Even after leaving, Carrick's presence lingered in how Manchester United trained and communicated. Younger coaches adopted his concise instruction patterns. Video analysis sessions became shorter but more focused. His respect for detail elevated internal standards. Conversations with staff remained pragmatic and centered on football specifics rather than speculation or emotion. That professionalism stabilized the environment for those who followed. Carrick often said little publicly about his own philosophy, but his methods showed it clearly. Football to him was about rhythm, intelligence, and shared effort. He valued balance between lines, clean technical execution, and the courage to stay patient under pressure. At Manchester United, a team that had been rushing decisions and forcing attacks, these values brought breathing space and coherence. Many supporters later recognized those 3 matches as a surprisingly significant moment. From a results standpoint, qualification in the Champions League and an unbeaten run as caretaker were respectable, but it was the intangible correction of culture, focus, calm, confidence that mattered more. Carrick proved the squad could be disciplined without being restricted, organized without losing character. His influence continued indirectly through the players who regained form during his period. Fred, once seen as inconsistent, became more reliable in midfield. Sancho's goal confidence improved. De Gea's reintroduction into a structured defensive scheme restored his composure. Even Ronaldo, adapting to a more controlled system, performed with greater purpose. These were not radical changes, but the visible outcomes of order replacing confusion. By the time Carrick left, Manchester United was a club looking ahead again. Results improved, confidence returned, and the players carried lessons that shaped the following season. He had stabilized a volatile situation with reason and respect. In an environment where emotions often dominate, he demonstrated that clarity is greater than charisma. Michael Carrick's time as caretaker manager may appear brief in statistics, but its consequences were meaningful. He reminded the club of its core football principles: control, balance, humility, and purpose. His tactical adjustments influenced future strategies. His composure influenced player mentality, and his professionalism restored belief. Ultimately, Carrick changed Manchester United not through revolution, but through restoration. He returned the team to its simplest values: work rate, discipline, structure, and teamwork. The lessons from those days still resonate: that leadership can be calm, improvement can be quiet, and progress often starts with restoring the basics. He left United positioned to move forward again, an understated but essential figure in its ongoing rebuilding story.